Hello, I'm Jane Cook, and I'm delighted to bring you an introduction to the simple stitch activity which I've been asked to present during the event on the 13th of May. I've had a lifelong enthusiasm for embroidery, which began with my mother and grandmother and was nurtured very much by a wonderful primary school teacher many years ago. But it was since retiring from a business career about 6 years ago that I became very interested in the therapeutic benefits of stitching. And since then, I've discovered that stitching can reduce heart rate and blood pressure. It can be very relaxing, and it can actually lead to an improvement in general mental well-being. This really captured my imagination, and I wanted the opportunity to share my enthusiasm and joy of stitching with others and try to help people locally. So last year I started a little group called Stitch to Enrich, and we get together just to enjoy each other's company and stitching, and we focus on the process and not the product. Now, stitch meditation is just one term. It can also be called slow stitch or mindful stitching. And there are links with such traditional techniques as Borrow and Camphor, and also our wonderful heritage of patchwork and quilting. So, how do we make sure that stitching is relaxing and not stressful? The things that can make it stressful are all the difficulties of choosing and deciding which fabric, which thread, which colour, what am I going to do with it? Is my stitching good enough? Now, I want to challenge that because I believe that each stitch, just like each of us, is perfect. It's only when compared with others that it may not appear to be so. There can be another benefit in creating these little stitch meditations because we may be able to use scraps of fabric that would otherwise have been discarded, and perhaps pieces of fabric which are precious to us or remind us of something in particular, and that can add a complete other dimension to our stitching activity. Now, what I want to share with you is something which has been promoted and made popular by Liz Kettle, and she calls it stitch meditation. What we're going to do is we are going to create a small square of stitching based on a background piece with some additional fabrics on the top. So let me show you what you are going to need. To start off with, just a small square of fabric. This is a piece of calico, this is a piece of felt. You can reuse something from an old piece of bed linen or anything like that. It's going to be covered up. Then a selection of different sorts of fabrics, not too many, so it's not too hard to choose. What I have here, I have some precious pieces. This was a piece from an old summer skirt from many years ago, a blouse that I really loved to wear, and some pieces from Mother's patchwork bag. This, I remember, was a piece of fabric that she used to make a dress for herself when I was a child. We're also going to need a pair of scissors to cut the thread and the fabric, a needle. The right needle is one that slips comfortably through the fabric and which you can thread easily. And then some thread. Now, it may be stranded cotton is your favourite. It may be that you particularly like perlé thread. Something to hand, something easy to use. So it only remains for me to say, I hope you will feel like joining me on the 13th of May at 3:30. In the meantime, if you have any questions or you want to contact me about anything, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on the 13th and stitching together.